Okay, today we are cracking open a piece of hardware that is, frankly, an absolute monster. But it's a monster hiding in a surprisingly small package. This is the story of how engineers crammed a ridiculous amount of power into a box that just, well, it defies expectations.
So let's just get right to the headline number. This little thing can deliver 3,000 watts of power. Now, to put that into perspective for you, that's enough juice to run multiple high-end gaming PCs at the same time. The output current? A staggering 250 amps.
But here's the real kicker. All of that power is coming from this, a solid little brick of a thing, smaller than a shoebox. It's so dense, it's heavy, and it just feels like it shouldn't be able to do what it does. Which, of course, brings us to the central question of this whole explainer. How on earth do you pack that much performance into such a tiny space? It's a serious engineering puzzle. And you know what? We're going to solve it piece by piece. So, to solve this puzzle, we first need to understand the what and the why. What exactly is this device, and what makes it so different from a normal power supply you might be familiar with?
Well, the first clue is right there on the box. Intel. Yeah, this is not a power supply you just go buy off the shelf for your gaming rig. It's what's called a reference design, basically a blueprint created by Intel to show other manufacturers what's possible for, next-generation high-power systems. Think data centers, think massive AI clusters.
Now, to really appreciate what Intel pulled off here, we need to talk about a specific metric, power density. It's actually pretty simple. It just measures how many watts you can cram into a certain amount of space, usually a liter. It's kind of the ultimate report card for compact power design. And this is where you really see what an insane achievement this is. An older power supply, it might have a power density around, say, 350 watts per liter. A really modern, high-end one using next-gen materials might hit 800. This Intel unit, it clocks in at an absolutely astonishing 2,500 watts per liter. That isn't just a step forward, it's a massive leap. So here's the crucial point. You can't have that kind of power density without creating another huge problem: heat. I mean, every electronic component has some inefficiency, and when you're dealing with this much power, that inefficiency adds up fast. So even with an incredible 90+% efficiency, at full blast, this little unit still has to get rid of about 300 watts of waste heat. That is like having several old-school super hot light bulbs burning away inside this tiny box. Without some way to get that heat out, it would literally melt itself in seconds. But here's the thing. You look at the back, and what's missing? There's no fan. No exhaust vent at all. The secret? It's staring you right in the face with those two connectors. This thing is water-cooled. And that, right there, is the key. See, air cooling needs empty space for air to flow. Water cooling doesn't. It lets you pack components right up against each other, creating what's basically a solid block of pure electronics. That's how you get that insane power density.
Okay, so we know the secret to its tiny size is water cooling. But what's actually going on inside this black box? Let's break down the basic job that any power supply has to do.
At a high level, it's really a three-step journey for the electricity. First, it takes the kind of messy AC power from your wall outlet and it cleans it up. Second, it uses something called power factor correction, or PFC, to make sure it's drawing that power as efficiently as it possibly can. And third, it converts that high voltage power down to the stable 12 volts DC that all your computer components actually need to run.
But look, clever cooling is only half the story. To get that kind of record-breaking power density, you have to make every single one of those internal steps incredibly efficient. And to do that, well, that requires some truly next-generation materials.
The first magic ingredient is something called gallium nitride, or GaN for short. This is a semiconductor that can switch on and off way faster than traditional silicon. In this power supply, it's used in that second stage, the power factor correction, to make it fantastically efficient and, you guessed it, cut down on waste heat.
The second ingredient is silicon carbide, or SiC. This is another one of these advanced materials that is just amazing at handling very high power and voltage. It's used in the final, heavy lifting stage of the power supply, the part that converts all that power down to 12 volts with as little energy loss as possible. And this is what makes this design so incredibly cutting edge. It doesn't just pick one of these new materials. Nope, it uses both. It leverages GaN for that high-frequency PFC stage, and then it uses SiC for the high-powered DC conversion stage. It's all about playing to the unique strengths of each material to optimize the entire system. Pretty smart, right?
So, let's put the final pieces of our puzzle together. We started this whole thing by asking how this much power in such a tiny box was even possible.
And now, we have our answer. It's not one single trick. It's really a symphony of advanced engineering all working together. Liquid cooling allows for that hyper-dense layout. Gallium nitride makes the first part of the power conversion incredibly efficient. Silicon carbide handles the immense power of that final stage. And those three things combined, they enable a circuit design that is packed to the absolute limit. These materials are really the key that unlocks a whole new level of complex, super-efficient circuit designs. They allow engineers to use these cutting-edge techniques to squeeze every last drop of performance out of the hardware, stuff that just wasn't even possible with older silicon technology.
So what started out as an Intel reference design for the data centers of tomorrow really gives us a crystal clear look at the future of power electronics. The technologies we've seen here, the water cooling, the GaN, the SiC, these are the things that are going to enable the next generation of computing. So the only real question left is, how long until this level of power density isn't just in some server rack, but sitting on our own desks?